Hello friends and welcome, it's Kenichi, and today I'm going to be redrawing the first thing I drew in 2020 and seeing how I've improved. So this was my first piece of 2020. It was meant to be based on Momo's Harrow from Gundam Build Divers, but unfortunately it doesn't really look like it is, so that's definitely something I want to improve. I think as well, the actual pose of the model could definitely be a lot better, so that's something else I'm going to improve. So I actually started by making a mock-up in Photoshop so I had a reference to work from. As I wanted to make a better pose, it was important to make sure I had this reference so I could actually make that improvement. Anatomy is 100% my weakness and is something that I definitely want to go and improve further this year. Personally, for the characters I've been designing, working on references either from underwater photography or modelling photography have been really useful for getting interesting poses. A huge thing I've learnt the last year is that just because one person says this is the correct way to draw doesn't necessarily mean it's the way that's going to benefit you most. Here I actually restarted the piece because I was finding that some of my proportions are a little bit off, so instead of doing it as bulk shapes, I actually went back in and created a skeleton. This worked a lot better for me because I could mentally understand where body parts were going and also alter the pose as I needed to. I've also found that personally doing multiple sketches is a really good way to get to the final piece that I want. I end up doing about 2 or 3 sketches on top of each other just so I can get the shapes that I want and keep sort of finalising the actual designs without having to commit to anything just yet. Finding a brush that really suits your sketching style can be really useful as well. I found that using a lower opacity brush and one that isn't as detailed as some of the other brushes is really useful for me. I don't focus on detail and I'm looking a lot more at the actual shape of the piece and what I'm trying to convey rather than just tiny little details early on when it's not as important. As one of my biggest issues with the original piece is that it didn't really look like the reference I was using of the Harrow, I decided to take a few more details and really try and focus that kind of energy onto this piece. I paid a lot more attention to the details of the actual model, such as some of the panel lines, the actual colours, and also trying to incorporate pieces of the model into the design itself. This year, I really want to take a lot more of my influences into my art and actually try and show some of the techniques off that I'd love to learn. For example, I want this piece to look a little bit more like it's a cartoon page, so it's got the panels as the background, which make the piece a little bit more interesting. Something I want to look into is more traditional manga techniques this year. I think that the way that they do shading and that the way they can convey images just through 2 colours is beautiful, and it's something I'd like to incorporate into my work a lot more. So we're finally onto actually lining the piece. So something that I really found in 2020 that I want to do a lot more of is doing thicker outlines and really varying my line weight to give the piece a bit more of an interesting look. I don't want my pieces to look realistic. I do want the kind of energy of a cartoon or a comic a lot more to come through in my work. So varying line weights and having heavier lines in different places and a little bit of a texture to the lines has become a really important piece to my artwork. Whilst I'm working on the line work, I just wanted to take a moment to say a huge thank you to everyone that has supported me and who I have met in 2020. I know the year was not a great one, to say the least, but it was wonderful to meet so many different artists and really kind of find myself a place in the community as well as building a community of my own. This year, I really want to put a lot more time and effort into YouTube. I do enjoy making videos, I'm just a little bit scared of making them, so if there's anything that you'd like to see from me or any recommendations or advice that you'd like to give me, please do leave it in the comments below. Something I've learned that I really enjoy doing in my work is using contrasting colours to do like highlights and really bring out the definition in some of the colours. I've definitely gone from pastels to more kind of neons and bold colours, which is really making a bit of a difference in my art, but I really like the change. And there we have it. This is the finished piece. It looks just a little bit different from what I did last year, to say the least. But I think it's a really good example of what you can do if you put time into practicing. I'm not saying it's brilliant. I know there's definitely things I can improve on, and I'm excited to see what it looks like next year when I do this again. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do leave a like and a comment down below if you have enjoyed it, or maybe give me some feedback if there's some things I can improve on. If you've really enjoyed the video and want to see more of my work, please do feel free to subscribe or check out my links in the description below. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching.